Hello, everybody. Thank you for stopping by CJ's Drop on Life today. Got kind of a different video here today. I'm kind of going to go over a few things. Um, Kind of wondering about, I'm just kind of on a topic today talking about kind of like life and stuff in general. But, life's funny. Life goes by so quick. And before you know it, you're old like I am and you wonder what it's all about. So I kind of wrote down some things here today. I'm kind of going to go by some notes today. I normally don't do that. I usually do stuff off the top of my head, but I'm going to kind of look at a few notes I jotted down just because I want to stay on track today. Sometimes when I do videos and I kind of go off track a little bit, but life's kind of funny. Like I remember this. You guys remember the band Led Zeppelin? Led Zeppelin had a song called "Stairway to Heaven," and one of the lyrics in there was, "There are two paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on." And it makes me wonder, and how true that lyric is. There's so many paths you can go. There's so many paths that you can go by in life. And it seems like, are you taking the right path in life? And do you know if you took the right path in life? Because it seems like sometimes you get off that path. There's several different paths. In the beginning, like I can remember when I graduated high school in 1982 to be exact. I graduated from high school. I had no clue what I was going to do. I mean, all I was doing was going to high school, studying, and college wasn't big like it is now. Everybody has to go to college now. And it seems like college back then, we really didn't have people come in and say, hey, what school are you going to go to and that. And, it just wasn't something that you thought about, like kids do now. And, it just, so I remember when I was 18 years old, my dad bought me a station wagon. I packed that station wagon up with my belongings, and I moved 100 miles away, lived with my sister for a little while. Her boyfriend ran a pizza place, and I became a delivery driver for pizza. Not a high-paying job whatsoever, I used their car to deliver pizzas with. But the thing of it was, I had no clue. I had no life skills, what you might say, that were taught to me. I watched people around me and observed people, but really I had no clue on what the heck I was doing. I kind of went through life and just things happened and don't know why they happened, but things happened. And I think that's part of the path that you go down when you get on that road and there's two paths you can go by. I took the one path, and then there's always I can't say the word, sorry about that you can go by as you go down the road. So you go down one path, it guides you down one area, and then you hit another path to where you got two paths, and you can go and take one of those, whatever one you choose. And sometimes you don't even know what path you're going down. I didn't. I had no idea what path I was going down. It kind of led me 8 years later when I graduated in 82, then did all these things. I even went in the Army. That didn't really work out the way I wanted it to. I wanted to end up retiring from the Army, but things happened to where I wasn't able to do that. I wanted to be a 20-year guy and retire and have a nice pension when I got out. And I would have been, 20 years, I would have been 38 or 40 years old. Would have been able to retire at 20, and who knows where that would have taken me. But it ended up being the path that didn't happen. It didn't happen. I went down another path. So I got out of the Army, went down another path, moved back to Michigan here again. Went to school for electronics and computers, actually, and how to fix them, repair them, build them, whatever. Went to school there, and it seemed like that took me someplace else. And I went down their path. And 8 years later, I met my wife that I have now of 35 years. We've been married this November, 35 years. But when I got married, I met her. She had 2 children. She was divorced. She's younger than I am. She's only married for about 3 years. And then I met her, and you know, went over to meet her kids and stuff. And her kids were real young. I mean, they never knew their dad. Their dad was left, and he was out of the picture. And so I took on the responsibility of 2 children. I wasn't married at that time with her, but we were going together and getting to know each other and that. And we finally ended up getting married in 1990. And I knew where I was working at that point in time. I had to go down our path. I had to find a job that had insurance. I had a family I had to take care of. And I was a worker. I mean, my wife was working, but I told her I wanted her to stay home with the kids because it wasn't right for her to go to work, and I was have to pay for a sitter. It didn't make any sense. She didn't really make any money at that point. She made money, but all the money she made and I made, well, partially her, had to go for daycare. So she stood home, I worked, and I knew I had to get a job, and I had to get a job quickly. So I got a job in an iron foundry. I worked in an iron foundry for 8 years. And you want to talk about hard, dirty-ass work, that's hard work. I started off grinding big, heavy parts that weighed about 25 pounds. I had to put them on a grinder and grind the parting line off of them, if you know anything about iron and stuff. You have to grind the parting line off and smooth, and then they got shipped to the customer. We worked for a lot of automotive. We did a lot of automotive axles and for Ford, GM, and Chrysler. And we did a lot of work for them. And it was hard work. And I graduated from there. I guess you would call it graduating from there to another job in a plant where I swung a sledgehammer, 10-pound sledgehammer, for 10, 12 hours a day on a braking line that would break the sprue cups off the parts. And we worked a lot of hours, a lot of days. We worked 6, 7 days a week. Sometimes 7 days for a month or more, not having a day off at all. So life hit me really fast and hard at that point in time. And I had to work, and I worked, and I worked, and I worked, and I worked, just like everybody does nowadays, and a lot of people do, and some people don't. But I knew that I had to support my family. And me and my wife had 2 more kids together. And so we had now 4 kids. And my wife, at that time, the kids were older, we didn't have to pay for daycare as much. So she went to work. So now there's 2 of us working. And it kind of, you don't really know what's next in life. You're not really prepared for anything. And that's why I'm talking about going down these 2 paths that you've got to go down. And every time you go down a path, it takes you to 2 more paths. And you go down that road, down that path, and you go to another 2 paths. And it just keeps going and going and going. It seems almost like, it's never ending. Because even today, I'm in my 60s right now, and I still have to work to supplement my income because I'm 62. So I took the 62 retirement, and you can still work, but only make so much money. You're topped off at how much money you can make for the year, and so there's always some path to go down to in life. Now, whether or not you choose the right path. And a lot of times you don't know you're choosing that right path. A lot of times these paths lead you to dead ends. But off of the dead end, there's always another path to take. There's always another way to improve yourself. If you know it, after a while you go down all these paths and you keep on going, and you kind of get a hang of it. You kind of get a hang of a groove of what's going on, and okay, let me go down this path. Let me go down this path. Okay, I hit a dead end here. I found another path to go down. Let me do that. And it seems like everybody's life is that way. I know mine has been that way. And that Led Zeppelin song, I always think about that. There are two paths you can go by, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on. And that lyric, it just is so true. You know, it's so true. That is what life is all about, it seems like. I know it is. It doesn't seem like it. It is that way. And, you know, and you wonder, you look back when I'm 62 now, like I said, and I look back and I think, should I have taken a different path? You know, you kind of wonder sometimes, you know. I mean, not all the time, but just kind of clicks in your head every now and then. Should I have done things differently too? I mean, not with my family and such. You know, I'm happy I have them and everything, and I'm grateful for all that. But were there paths that I could have went down in life to change my life to where I'm at now, to make things a little better for me, to where I was more financially set right now and I wouldn't have to go to another job? You know, there might have been a different path I could have went down to change that, you know, but I didn't, because at the time, you know, even when I was working, I never felt like I was making enough money, which I was, but I never felt like I was. So I'd work 2-3 jobs. I mean, I had my own business. I worked a job when I did start doing other jobs. I was working a job in a wood plant. I finished wood. I was a assembly line type. I worked at a place called Steelcase in Grand Rapids when they made a lot of office furniture and stuff like that. So I was into woodworking quite a bit at that point in time. And but off that, I would go from that job to another job, working at 7-Eleven, working there as a cashier, and I'd work there for 4 or 5 hours a night, get off from there, go to work the next day. And then if I had weekends off, I had my own little business set up, going around and doing fairs and stuff like that, putting on temporary tattoos on people. And that was pretty good money too. But I always felt like I wasn't making enough money. And I was pretty much working 3 jobs. Not full-time jobs, but I had a full-time job and then 2 part-time jobs. But it never seemed like it was enough, you know? And then you get to this point and you think you put in all that hard work for all those years and you still have to work. You still have to go to another job, you know? I don't have to. I mean, if anything works out for me, I mean, I still do other things besides YouTube to make money. But after a while, you start getting wore out with it. I'm 60, you know, I guess I'm 62, and it just feels like, is it ever going to end? It will end, but I think how it is going to end is something major happening to me. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully I can stay healthy all through my senior citizens years, and I can continue to do things and work and that, and not rely on my Social Security, because, boy, that ain't enough. You know, if you know anything about Social Security, that's not enough to live on. And all these promises we get from all our politicians about how there's going to be no taxes on Social Security and you know, all these promises that haven't even came through yet, because we're more worried about going to war with anybody than anything, not our own country. That's a whole different topic. But it always seems like, you know, you're always trying to go down the right path. And it makes you kind of wonder, just like the song says, makes me wonder. It makes me wonder, all right. Makes me wonder, should I take a left turn or a right turn or a left turn, or instead of taking a right turn? Because do it while you can. Make good decisions while you can. If you're younger people and you're still working, you haven't retired yet, try to change things if you're not happy. Don't stay in the same situation that you're in. Try to change the road you're on, because there's always 2 paths you can go by. In the long run, you can always change that. So I guess my moral of the story here is, if you're not having any luck what you're doing now, sit down and seriously think to yourself, where can I go from here? Okay, I got 2 paths I can go down. How am I going to go? If you got some ideas on what you want to do, or a different direction you want to go into, Take it while you still got the opportunity to do it, because when you get older, it's hard to do. It's really hard to try to find something because you're set at this point. Even though you want to do something else, you're pretty much set. So that's my video for today. I'd like to hear your comments below on what you think about it, and think about how many choices did you have in life and how many paths did you go down. I mean, everybody goes down a path every day, right? Every day we wake up, there's a path to go down. Are we going to take the opportunity to go down that path, or are we going to sit back and watch other people do it? That's what you got to decide. So, like I said, that's my video. I'd love to hear your comments on this. If you have any, fill me up with comments. I'll answer every comment that comes my way. So please, give me some comments. Give me a thumbs up if you can. And I'll see you next time, okay? You guys have a great day and a great weekend, okay? Talk to you later. Bye-bye.